not the only one who can help but question, why am I studying? What am I studying? I discovered that this is not only natural, but in a way expected to happen. After a nightmare of academic adolescence and after college, which I never thought I would ever do, even less graduate, I found out that education is flawed in its roots. The meaning of many principles has dried out, and the student is hopeless and lost. To understand why all this, we need a little history session, and I will use my native land, Brazil, as an example of why our education is doomed for many years to come. Again, trying to be prolific here, so take it with a grain of salt. Back when we were on unknown land, there was hundreds and thousands of different tribes, languages, and culture. We did what we could to get around here. So everything changed though when the Ausländer came and noticed that not only we were so distant technology-wise, but we even didn't have a writing system. So I do not believe that oral cultures are dumb or anything. On the contrary, I learned so much from them. Those folks, though, they thought that we were the pinnacle of stupidity. I can make a long video only about this and its deep waters, but the focus here is that the first examples of written language and classes here in Brazil surge from this context. Since they thought that the natives here needed to learn their system of education and everything that we believed that was useful, they thought the contrary and made the natives believe so. Their strategy was masterfully planned, I must admit. They started to teach the children about the Christian God and the enlightenment that he offered. How he, the kid, should tell his parents how cool birthless Jesus was. As you can see, this is a very sensible topic, so don't take it too seriously. Anyway, Tupi Guarani, which is one of the major indigenous languages from around here, was known because of that, with the help of a man called Padre José de Anchieta. To his credit, he used songs, plays, and art as a way to teaching, which I love, although I do not agree with the overall intent. So, after a while, Brazil, which now had a name, began to be quite popular. The whole world came here to see what we had to offer. This led to a huge transformation because remember, Brazil didn't have thousands of technological development like the other countries did. The natives here were satisfied with a very basic way of living. Small and primal craft houses and instruments, basically no clothes and no mirrors. Not really a funny fact, but they even use the argument that the natives here were such an awful slaves because they didn't wanted to work and were too lazy. So yeah. The time here is around 18th to 19th century. So we went from primal craft straight up to Illuminism architecture, and this led to an immense craving for labor and knowledge. You got to know how to handle concrete, glass, perspective, engineering, and much more. Most people here at the time still lived in forests and villages. How do all of a sudden they will do all that stuff? This time in history is very important for education, not only for Brazil, but worldwide. I can talk about the specific history of education in another video though, as it has many topics and subtopics to cover, but as for now, I skipped into the 19th century. Around that same time, not only Brazil, but the whole world thought, hey, we need to expand as well. And now education is shifted towards technology expertise. We need an insane amount of workers to handle not only the architecture of my country, but for my colonies as well. So to do that, they began thinking, okay, How can I improve a whole society that is barely alphabetized to provide me giant buildings, cars, printing, and many more in what, 10 to 20 years? College here wasn't even a matter of the empire. The first step is to find teachers so they can teach a new generation of architects, doctors, and lawyers. Note that these professions are the famous and most notorious ones. It is because they thought they were the most important to provide mass expansion. Note as well how the purpose of education here is to develop a society able to produce, not to learn. And chill, I'm not going to talk about capitalism here. And think about the context. Imagine that you are creating a university for a city in apparent need of bigger buildings, better roads, and healthier and wealthier people. So professions like as an artist, for example, are barely plausible, and take time to occur. It needs generations of transformations to grasp its real effects. Although we can make a very solid argument about how even 1 year can impact in education. That worked for a while, and now we are in a world that doesn't need as many buildings as before, not that many roads, and after all, the same one is school and roads can be used for thousands and thousands of people and for many years. Not that I say that we don't need those kinds of professions anymore, of course, but even doctors right now can have a hard time finding a proper place to work because competition is so high, and that of course for the ones who even make there, we didn't count the ones that failed the exams, repeated, or gave up. And now into the 20 and 21st century, you have kids asking why do we need to learn the things we learn. You can't help but wonder why so many math and complex chemistry. And on the flip side, why to learn grammar in history if I want to do something else? It seems to me like nobody knows answers to anything. The students doesn't know why they are learning these, why they fail, why the teachers never answer the questions. And to that, I say that they don't know themselves. They just learned that way many years ago when all that crap was effective. They were brainwashed just like we all were. And not only that, but at such an early age, we need to make a huge decision about what college to go and what course of education to focus on. All of this while trying to ride the uncontrolled train that is semesters and classes. For example, if I skip a class, what I'm going to do then? And remember, those highly praised areas such as medicine, law, and engineering are extremely diverse and growing its flexibility by the day. So many different subtopics, subniches, and different areas that one can work. Hence, their idea post graduation, specialization. Makes sense, right? I always wonder why we don't do that just from the beginning. Of course, this will take years to be more apparent, but look at our society now. We have a high demand of very specific jobs, even in art. Disney, for example, doesn't need the best painter or animator in the world. They need one guy who can make a leg flawlessly so he can join the other thousand of artists who together are going to give you the full animation. Look at Netflix. They have more than one writer, more than one director. Hell, there's even a whole series that which each episode is a whole new crew. When you go to the doctor, you go to the doctor or you go to the Dr. X. By the way, we didn't even scratch the mental health issues that all this can provide. So there you go. These are the answers that I always searched for as a seemingly bad student. If you're feeling lost in your professional or academic life, its roots is probably in all that we've been talking about. Modern education doesn't focus on you being smart, having good self esteem, knowledgeable, none of that. They're asking the questions: can you produce? Can you make us expand and become richer? The good and fruitful questions are: why didn't I learn the things I want to learn before? Why don't I find ways to use the abundance of information at my disposal for my own good? Well, we would go into another discussion with this, and the main goal here was already reached. I wanted to illustrate how modern education is not suited for modern needs or even a modern society. I have other videos about the in-between topics that we could get into here, such as knowledge and education, history, the best ways to learn, mental health for students, and many more. So if you're interested. The message then is clear: quit school, quit college, they all suck. I'm joking. Maybe I'm not. Peace.